Do you happen to have an abnormal fear of rejection? I know I do. You ever heard that saying that if you're afraid of something, you should face it in fear, do it anyway? I have. Allow me to tell you my most recent embarrassing story about facing my fear. For a little bit of context, I'm LittleAshThings, and I'm also a professional graphics designer, advisor, streamer. And recently, I've been trying to do some more local work. I was thinking what would be perfect is some theater work. I want to get my hands dirty, use more of my body. Props. Yeah, I like working behind the scenes. So I'm going to reach out to a local theater and see about volunteering some hours to help them with prop work. It's a great time of year to do it. Everyone's doing all sorts of Christmassy themed events, and I just thought, oh man, that would be so fun. I have to laugh so I don't cry, okay? I've been processing this for a few days, and I think I'm finally ready to tell the story. A few people have been waiting on it, and I was like, I'm just gonna make a video and tell the story all at once so I don't have to keep repeating myself. I have anxiety, I'm diagnosed autistic, and I'm a diagnosed DID system. I have agoraphobia. I have all these reasons I can tell myself why I don't want to go out in public, put myself out there. But I still, right? We face our fears. I did it anyways. So when I go to the website, I'm looking for information on what exactly am I signing up for? Is there different departments? Because I really wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get signed up for possible one-on-one human interaction. Like I didn't want to come in to do an event and have to do a lot of face-to-face. I'm just trying to kind of get my foot in the door when it comes to working behind the scenes. I don't want to have to do customer servicing, if you were. I don't have the face for it. I don't know, something about my face. When people are upset, I make them more upset. So I'm just kind of better behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? Since I can't really figure out where to specify to them on the volunteer slots that I'm only wanting to come in to do backstage work, I decided to go to a local Facebook group. And I tried to see if anyone in the area that I'm looking to work in has possibly worked with this theater, so I can get a good idea of maybe a contact name or what's going to be expected of me. And I had a few people respond, and they gave me good feedback. So I thought, okay, awesome. I'm still not sure about the volunteer form though. So I decided to go to their official website for the theater I chose, and I submitted an email to them asking, telling them, I'm a professional local artist and I would love to work with y'all. What can I do? How can I show up? I'm ready. Now, I didn't hear anything back on that email. And remember, I sent that email through their website, meaning it was a little form, right? That means that I did not type anybody's email and I didn't know where that email was going. I just knew it was going to one of them. This is important for the future of the story, I promise. Now, after I sent the email and I waited a few days with no response, I decided, look, I really do want to get moving. I want to get in the action of this. I'm so excited / nervous. Like, I'm doing this. So I go back to the website and I fill out the form and I'm excited, right? I chose a day. I chose Sunday. Then I could have my father drive me out there. I didn't really want to have to drive myself and park my car out there because it's going to be in a downtown area. And that downtown area, the parking, like any other downtown area in a city, it's just messy. You know, you make a mistake where you park and that mistake might cost you hundreds of dollars. It was so much easier, if not having my father drive me, I was just going to get an Uber. So I chose a Sunday thinking, and it wasn't close to Christmas. It was about a week out. So I thought, okay, or 2 weeks out. I thought, you know what? That's going to be perfect because they're probably still going to be working on stage stuff, and I kind of did. This might have been on me. I went in there kind of blind because I filled out the information. There was no details. All it gave me was the date, the name of the performance or event that I was going to be helping with, and then it told me the time slot, my name, my email. That's it. I didn't see any notes about formal attire or how I needed to present myself or what even the tasks were going to be. But I did, and I had that, I had that discernment, right? Where I knew that there was I'm visualizing a coin here. There's a 50-50 chance I'm going to show up to this place and they're not going to need me for what I was hoping for. Like I might have been building this up in my head because they're either going to need people who are going to be ushering for an event or they need people who are going to be working to prepare the actual event. It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be one or the other. So yes, I did have that sort of in the back of my throat, in my stomach, like, maybe I should call somebody, maybe I should email. But my anxiety, I was like, I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to show up, right? And I really did, with all the best intentions. What I figured in my head would be smart is to come as comfortably but nice looking as possible. So I dressed the same way I would dress if I was going to work at like a grocery store, because that's what I also do, is I love working retail and grocery stores. That means that I wore comfortable, like tighter fitting pants that would allow me to bend and lift. I had on some boots that were flat footed. They still look nice. They're like red suede basically. And then I had on just a really normal jacket, like a sweater with an anime girl all over it, just printed all over it, red, white. I mean, I did not dress to be face-to-face engaging with people. I definitely dressed for the sake of thinking that I'm going to be getting dirty. I'm going to be crawling on my knees. I'm going to be painting stuff. I'm going to be lifting things. That was what I built in my head. And once again, that is my fault because I didn't call anyone. I didn't confirm with anybody, but that's what I would be needed for. I really did make a mistake where I assumed that, I mean, at the worst, the way I saw it in my head was, at the worst, I'm going to show up and I'm just going to have to go back home. Like, they're not going to be able to use me, right? That is, in fact, me facing the fear of the possibility that I might be rejected, because I knew there was a 50-50 chance I might be showing up for something that I didn't realize I signed up for. Okay? So the days are ticking by. I'm getting excited. Sunday rolls around. I ask my father to take me out there. I dress the way I have. I'm very comfortable, but I look clean. I've got like my hair done. I've got cute little bows in it. I put on a little bit of makeup, nothing too flashy, just enough to show them, hey, I care about my appearance. And when this is where things, I don't know, my stomach, it wasn't even anxiety I was having. I know my anxiety stomach. This was a different feeling. I was just like, I don't know about that. I just didn't know. Something was up. My father pulls up to the building, we find it, and as soon as I get out of his truck, as I'm getting out, I don't know why I said this. I don't know if it's my DID looking out. I completely dissociated. All I know is I was watching myself say this to my father, but I don't know why it came out of my mouth. I said to him, hey, Dad, do me a favor and stick around in case I need you to come pick me up right away. I don't know. The way I talked to him, I know that was not me. It was definitely an alter front. I just don't know why it was there, why it happened. And he kind of nods and he takes off, and I go to get in. I go to the building. I walk up the steps, and this whole interaction took place within like 3 to 5 minutes. The first girl that I walk up to at the front kind of just looks at me, kind of confused looking, honestly. She looks me up and down. She started at my feet and she goes up to my face. When someone looks you up and down, where they don't start by greeting your face, they start by greeting you through the floor, and you feel really tiny now because it, like, they did, you know what I'm saying? It was that kind of, I just immediately I was like, ooh, okay. Maybe, I don't know. I just didn't think much of it, but I know for a fact it started at my feet and she looked up at my face and she's like, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm actually here for a 1:30 slot to volunteer with, insert the contact's name, because it did give me a contact name in the actual details of the form that I filled out. And she goes, so you're here to volunteer, like, for the show? And I said, yes, I believe so. Because in my head, when she was asking me, are you here to volunteer for the show? I'm thinking, you mean like to volunteer to help for the show? I did not put together in my head that she was asking if I was there to help with like the show, as in there's a showing, an actual event going on. You see, so that, once again, that my brain being the brain it is. And by the way, when I'm anxious like that, all of my executive function just goes out the window. It's like I forget when I'm performing in front of other humans. I forget some of the stuff that in hindsight I should absolutely know. And especially if I'm having dissociation and alter fronting like I was already having from the moment I got out of my dad's truck. And she was really sweet. She just goes, oh, okay, yeah, it's going to be right through this door over here. I said, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I walk through the door she mentions. And the first thing I take note of is there are people waiting in this lobby. And they are nicely dressed. this is a fancy place. I'm talking real tall ceilings. It's bougie in here, okay? And I'm clocking everything because I can't help myself. And I walk up to another girl. She's at the desk. And she greets me face to face and she goes, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I said, "Hi." Well, she was counting money at first, so I just sat there quietly and waited for a moment so she could finish what she was doing. I know it's hard to count money when people are talking to you. And she just looks at me, she goes, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I said, "Hi, I'm here for the volunteering at this time slot." Give them time slot, and I said, "And I'm looking for this person." And she goes, tilts her head. She goes, "You're here to volunteer for the show?" And now I'm taken back because that is a very specific. Now I'm like overthinking everything. So yeah, I'm here to volunteer for the show. I'm pretty sure I am. She goes, "Oh, okay. Well, hey, so and so." And she calls this guy over, and I'm just gonna call him T. Okay, this is not the person I was meant to meet with. This was not the person in my form. This is just another person that she has connected me with. So T walks up to me, and T does the exact same thing that the first girl did, which is instead of looking at my face first, he kind of like glanced past my face, looked down, stared at my feet, and then looked slowly up at me as he started tilting his head kind of like this, like with his mouth kind of like, And he was dressed beautifully, by the way. Really, he looked really dapper. It was clear to me already, like my stomach is starting to turn, okay? Because I have now clocked him clocking me for the fact that I am not probably dressed appropriately for whatever they have in mind to be doing with me that day. And so as I introduce myself and everything, he seems confused. Truly he does. And I explained to him, right? Because he says, "Okay, well, let me go take you to my office." Awesome. I'm sensing some reluctancy here. So without even meaning to, out came words from my mouth again as I'm dissociating. You can feel me. I am literally up in the corner of this building right now. I am so out of my own body right now. And I see myself say to him, and really nervous too. Like, I am not the kind of person that buckles up the way I was. I was all tightly packed together in my own body. And I said to him, "I am so sorry. If I'm not dressed appropriately, I wasn't quite clear on the volunteer form, what I was going to be coming in to do today. I was actually really wanting to work with props or possibly backstage stuff. So that's kind of how I dress. But I understand 100% if I am not dressed appropriately, maybe I can come back another day." I'm saying all this to him as we are walking to his office. He unlocks his office, and as he's unlocking it, he says to me, "Yeah, because I'm pretty sure. Just hold on, right?" But there's that thing in his voice where I'm just like, oh, this guy's done with me already. He's already had enough of me, right? I don't actually think that's what he's thinking because I can't read people's minds. But I'm sensing an energy, right? I can't help myself, bro. I'm autistic. I can sense when people have certain feelings. The discernment is out of this world. And I am trying to take accountability for that. And while I was verbalizing to him, hey, like if I can't be useful today in the physical state I'm in, I understand. Because business is business and you want to portray a certain image, right? I totally get that. Props, 100% respect. So this is the point where now I am not only embarrassed, but I'm like actively fighting back that I'm going to have a breakdown in front of these people. Like I'm going to start crying but I didn't, thank goodness. I'm getting so much better at processing these feelings, which is why I wanted to make the video too, is as a part of processing all of this. So we're in his office, and I'm standing in the corner. It's kind of a smaller office. When he walked into the office, he left the door open. He's sitting at his computer, and I'm still over-explaining and apologizing to this guy. And he is basically confirming to me, like, yeah, the show that would be going on tonight, it is absolutely more formal. And he's looking at me and like shaking his head visibly in front of me at what I look like. Oh my goodness. And the worst thing is, it's not just him and me, because he and I are talking, and then there's these 3 other grown people who are much taller than me. I'm a little person. I'm like 5'2", bro. And so that's why my name's LittleAshThings, you know. But they all come into the office, but they block the doorway. So I am now in the corner of this room talking with this guy. I'm feeling a whole lot of feelings, you know, like you just know when you need to like get outside and like get a breather. I'm getting to the point where I need a breather from this situation. So best thing I can do is just cut it off and contact my father. I am actively texting my father while this guy is explaining stuff to me, telling my dad, hey, this isn't going to work out. Please come back. So the guy's looking through his computer, and as he's explaining to me, yeah, it really does need to be formal attire tonight. I told him, I'm so sorry. I just didn't really see that on the form, you know, and I was just really excited. And then he says to me, he goes, yeah, in the future, you might just want to send us an email or something. My response was, as I have my phone in my hand, to scroll through my Gmail really quick and go to my sent emails. And I said, I did email. That's exactly what I did, is I emailed y'all. I'm a local artist, and I even put that in the email, and I said, here you go. And I showed it to him on my phone. And then he looks at me and he goes, and I said, but by the way, I did send this message like through the website. So I don't know whose email it got sent to. Let me take a look at where it's sent. And it sent it to a completely different email than he had. It went to like their booking submissions or something, right? And he goes, oh, yes. I saw this email and I forwarded this to whatever the job title was, some sort of coordinator or something. And the people that came into the room all looked at me the exact same way that he did. They started at my feet and they looked slowly up at my face. And then they're like, and looked away, right? So I'm really built up with this feeling of that you don't need to be here. You're not wanted here. And I decide to go ahead and tell the guy, oh, wait, before I forget. Yeah, there was one more thing. They're looking at me and asking questions about like the show that's about to be happening. And I felt like I was in The Devil Wears Prada, bro. This guy, because they weren't talking to me. They were talking to him they were talking about me through him, right? Because basically he looks away from me and he looks at them and he's like, oh yeah, so for tonight's show, you guys are going to have, well, actually, you would have had Ash here, but, and then I go, yeah, sorry about that. I think there was a miscommunication. They didn't look at me. They didn't care what I had to say. They don't, like, I'm sorry. What? Fine, that's fine. Hey, I'm wasting people's time, right? I wasted my time. I wasted their time. I wasted my dad's time. Like, I feel very bad about that. And all I had to do was call somebody to double check. You know what I'm saying? And now I know. But after we had the conversation about, hey, I did send you the email, and then I watched that interaction between the two of them, it's clear that my job here is done before it even started. So I say, well, it was a pleasure to meet you, T. And by the way, per my email, it is great to meet you. And I'm LittleAshThings. I'm a local artist. And hopefully I'll get the pleasure of working with y'all in the future. Because as you can see, at least I'm dependable because I'm here. Right? And I kind of, screaming on the inside! I don't even know how I manifested those words or how they even came out of my mouth that way. Like, I praise myself for being that articulate, because usually I am not that kept together when I feel like I'm being rejected. I just completely crumble. That's why I know I'm abnormally sensitive to rejection. And I understand at the end of it, it wasn't really more of a rejection as like a rearrangement of things. Like, I misunderstood. I didn't perform what I needed to correctly. So, I mean, I get all that. But to me, to my heart, my soul, and my brain, it feels like I wasn't good enough. Right? There's only one other time where I felt like I wasn't good enough for something, and it was the only job I've ever had that I quit within the first day. And if I were to tell that story, it's for a whole different video, because yeah, this one deserved its own. Maybe I'll have to record that and put it on my YouTube as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, I went ahead and I said, excuse me to the people who were in the doorway. I walked out that door. It was very cold and windy, and I wanted to fall to my knees and cry because I do naturally respond that way to stress. I hate that for myself. I'm working on it. Clearly, I'm working on it. I didn't cry. So I call my dad to let him know, hey, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I'm not sure if you saw my message because you're driving. Can you please come pick me up? Because yeah, I'm on the way. And I told him I'm basically where you left me. So I think maybe 3 minutes max passes of me sitting there and in the blowing, bustling wind. And I'm not messing with my phone, by the way. I'm just staring. I'm just dissociating. I'm wanting to cry. I'm kind of laughing. I'm talking to myself. I am a crazy person, okay? It's not just for cute, quirky ha-has. I'm crazy. So I'm sitting there on the side of the road, just like talking to myself. And I hear my dad's truck pulling up. So I'm looking around. I find him and I get in the truck. And I'm staying so quiet because I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. I absolutely felt like I wasted people's time. Not even mine. I didn't care about my time. I was like, well, this is just an experience for me. But really, I felt the worst about asking my father to drive me all the way out there and for me to just have to turn around anyways. And, I am fighting back tears because I didn't want to cry. I know it makes him feel bad when I cry about things because a lot of society, right? This situation would happen. They would let it roll off their shoulders. They wouldn't care. And they darn sure wouldn't be sitting here making a video about it. Well, I'm not like a lot of society. So this works for me. And in that moment, as much as I just wanted to cry, and I had all of this nasty, I'm a system, and I have yucky alters who are not nice to me. They were saying all sorts of miserable things, putting me down and telling me like, you're never going to be good enough. Look at you. You can't do anything right. How can you even call yourself an adult? Like, yes, I heard all of that self-talk. But instead of letting it come out of my mouth and instead of speaking it into the world and making it part of that experience, I just breathed as slowly as possible. And I just said to my dad, Dad, I'm so sorry for wasting your time. You had to drive me all the way out here and for what? And my dad always says the coolest thing when I'm having those kinds of moments. He just goes, hey, it's okay. It's no big deal. But that happened a few days ago now. And I am still, like, I haven't even been able to tell the story to my friends yet. The amount of time, I don't like delayed processing. That's probably my number one complaint about my brain is I take so long to process things. And sometimes I never stop processing them. And making this video, by the way, the reason I want to talk about it and kind of laugh about it with y'all is because I know that there's other people out there like me who are abnormally sensitive to rejection. And I know how hard it is to want to go out there, to reach out your hand just to have it slapped away. I do, and it hurts. I'll tell you what, it wasn't that bad. And anything that you reach out for that isn't meant for you, when alignments just don't work the way you think they're going to, you are indeed aligning with something else. Something out there is meant for you. Something out there is meant for me. I'm gonna find an opportunity to use my hands and my body and my art the way I want to. Maybe it wasn't that day. Maybe it might not even be that theater. But I will keep trying and I'll find something. Even if it takes me a little bit of processing time in between before I get the confidence to do it again. And I just hope that somehow anyone out there can laugh at my embarrassment. I like to call it failing forward, right? When you try to do something and it doesn't quite work out, but you keep going. That's me failing forward or failing upward or however you want to call it. And if you've made it this far into my video, thank you. And I hope you all have a super amazing day because I know thanks to all of you, I'm gonna have a super amazing day.